genre.
In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thank you for listening to Ideal Remake. We take movies that either have been, will be, or should be remade and talk about what the ideal version of that remake would be. And we take that seriously. We can't be bought. There's no way we would ever compromise on our morals to... Is that chocolate? Okay, fine. We'll remake God of Gamblers. So, Diane, is God of Gamblers a movie that has been, will be, or should be remade?
Oh, totally should be remade. Totally.
And it never has been, though, right? Like,
well,
it's never
had
been...
multiple sequels.
Yeah.
And prequels.
Oh, and prequels.
I think there's a prequel to it, but then there's also movies that are like offshoots of it.
Okay.
So like they took some of the side characters and made movies out of them, and then there's another one that's The God of Gamblers Returns is apparently the only true sequel, and everything else is just other sequels in their universe.
That's wild. Okay. All right, well, so it's never been remade, it's just been expanded upon.
Yes, the universe has expanded.
So, before we get into that, hi Diane, welcome back to Ideal Remake.
Hey Sam, I'm glad to be here.
For those just listening or tuning in for the first time and haven't listened to your remake of Hackers, Ronin, Broadcast News,
Wanted, In a Lonely Place, or when you were part of kind of the big 150 episode spectaculars, or not 150, 50 episode and 100 episode spectaculars. I haven't done 150 yet. Getting close.
I'm very close. Tell us about you.
Okay, I worked in Hollywood for quite a while. I'm trying to be a writer at this point, so occasionally I write things when I'm not playing Pokemon Go, which occasionally I do that too. I'm moving to New York in about 6 weeks.
I don't think they need to know that, but...
I'm kind of freaking out about it, so everyone gets to know about it.
That's fair. When this episode comes out, you will probably be...
In New York.
Moved, yeah.
Yeah, in New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm packing up books right now.
It's going to do great. I mean, if any place is perfect for being a deity of gambling, it's New York.
It is. Or Macau.
Which is where I was considering placing this. Or not Macau. I was going to suggest placing this in Monaco, but we'll have that conversation.
Yeah, we'll have that conversation.
How did you first hear about God of Gamblers?
Well, I was lucky enough when I was in school to take a bunch of classes in Asian cinema. Mm-hmm. And one of the classes was Hong Kong cinema. Literally a class that just did Hong Kong cinema. And this was one of the movies we watched. And it's one of those ones that always kind of stuck in my head. And I love Chow Yun-fat. Loved him since A Better Tomorrow, Hard Boiled, Better Tomorrow 2. All his gunplay movies, his stuff with John Woo is fantastic. And this is him doing a silly role. And it's kind of fun. And he does it really well.
He was very fun. I mean, he has a kind of slyly confident face, just naturally.
Yeah. That
lends itself to this kind of character so well.
And he does a great performance.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about the what happens in the movie in a minute, because I imagine there's a lot of people listening who've never seen the movie. He plays absolute top of, the most confident a person could be. He literally goes from the highest status a person can be to, the lowest status a person can be. It's bananas.
Really is.
And so you suggested we remake this movie, and I'm like, okay, let's give it a try. How long had it been since you'd seen it?
Since school, so 20 years?
Fair, yeah. And are you happy you made the choice of this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I was actually thinking of a different movie initially.
Did you figure out what movie that was?
Yeah, it was a Sammo Hung movie.
Oh.
Which is a completely different thing altogether, because Sammo Hung comes out of the same school as Jackie Chan.
Okay.
And they do all the acrobatics, and they do all the stunt work and stuff, and Chow Yun-fat just looks cool with a gun.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, completely different guy, completely different movie, but for some reason I sort of superimposed Chow Yun-fat onto Sammo Hung because Chow Yun-fat's just gorgeous.
That's fair.
So.
Okay, well, we ended up with God of Gamblers, and I'm pretty pleased. You and I watched this movie a couple days ago, and at the end of it, we were like, this is kind of a perfect movie for the podcast. It's so fun, but, you could absolutely see at, an American producer or studio being like, well, it's so popular in Hong Kong and everywhere else, clearly we have to try and do our version of it here.
Yeah, there was a whole, sort of sub-genre of Hong Kong movies that are like gambling movies. And this kind of brought it right to the forefront.
Okay. And
So,
did this start that
started
subgenre, or did it epitomize the subgenre?
It epitomizes it.
Okay.
And then it started like all the sequels of God of Gamblers and really sort of brought it back.
Sure. Okay. So it's like if someone made a wrestling movie now, which is kind of a lost genre of movies that no one really does anymore. Like, it was a fading genre and this revitalized it.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So,
yeah.
What happens in the movie God of Gamblers?
Well, first of all, accept the fact that Chow Yun-fat's a god.
I don't think it functions exactly like that. I don't think it's a literal god.
It kind of does.
It doesn't, though.
He can change cards.
No, he doesn't. Like, they clearly imply that it's like he's doing card tricks and he's very, very good and he's very, very lucky. But I don't think they ever imply that it isn't a feat of skill.
No. I agree with you. It's just he does this with such a good smile and such a way that, you're like, okay, he's amazing.
You could see why he is being referred to as the god of gamblers.
Yes.
To the point where, like, characters later in the movie are praying to an image of him. But he doesn't like having his picture taken, so they don't realize it's his back. Yeah. How does the movie begin? The movie
begins with Chow Yun-fat's character, Ko-chin. He's in a gambling contest, essentially, once you get to it. He goes through a train, he's in a gambling contest. And at the gambling contest, he has to defeat, I think it's the dragon.
No, because the dragon's the one who's his bodyguard, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, we got confused.
Or it was Scorpion was the...
Scorpion.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
So he's defeating a guy who owns a casino, basically.
Yes, he's defeating the guy who owns the casino. And they go into this, like, contest of skills.
Okay.
And the first one is Mahjong.
Or what they're calling Mahjong.
Well, they're Mahjong tiles.
They're definitely Mahjong tiles.
They're Mahjong tiles done in a really cool way. So they flip over the tiles, and Chow Yun-fat's character kind of does this really cool thing with a sword or a knife or something.
It's not a sword or a knife. It's the thing that they use to hold the tiles.
Okay, the tile holder.
The tile holder. It's
but
like it's essentially a ruler.
But it holds it in a way that looks like a sword or a knife that he's got the tile on it.
And he and the person he's competing against like flip one of the tiles that they both want and like do a sword fight with their tile holder.
And Chow Yun-fat gets it.
And he gets it.
Yeah. So he wins the first round of Mahjong. Then the second round is really friggin' cool because the guy he's competing against, the owner of the casino, brings out this woman who's utterly gorgeous, who reveals this amazing sort of back tattoo, and she is just phenomenal. And it's a dice game.
They're playing Yahtzee, but they're trying to get the lowest possible roll on 6 die.
Yes. So she does this whole cool shaky thing in a bamboo shaker and pops it down, and she gets 6 ones.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says the shaker's too light because he's a guy and he wants to like play over the woman kind of thing.
Or he makes it seem that way.
Yeah. Anyway, so he gets a metal shaker, shakes and shakes and shakes and does all the stuff and slams it on down and has ones except for the ones that he crushed.
So he has 5 die
ones.
Because he broke the other one.
Yes, because he's amazing.
So he couldn't possibly have 6 ones because it's only possible for him to have 5 ones, and that's how he wins.
She wins.
He wins.
Yeah. No, he doesn't win the second one.
He does win the second one. He had a lower score.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Sorry. Yeah.
He's the god of gamblers, Diane. He doesn't lose.
He doesn't lose, excuse me. So yeah. So that happens.
Yeah.
And then they send over assassins for him, which happens.
At the beginning of the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They track him down on the train.
Yeah. They track him down on the train.
But that's after he agrees to help the casino owner
against this other dude.
Against this other casino owner that, like, embarrassed the casino owner's father, and the casino owner's father unalived himself. And he, even though those casinos are friends now, he still wants to embarrass and take down this other casino owner, and Ko-chun agrees to do that.
Yes. And that guy's name is Chan, and he's the eventual big bad.
The other one that's being talked about. Yes. He is the eventual big bad.
He's the eventual big bad.
And this casino owner gives Ko-chun Scorpion, a dude with a scorpion tattoo on his wrist.
Yeah.
To basically be like, you need a bodyguard.
Right. And that's Ko-yi.
Yes. To kind of just hang out, Ko-chun goes and like helps a friend of his win at a card tournament or something, and he takes the money, he gives it to the friend, and then he escapes from the mob bosses who he took that money from onto a train where they track him down, but luckily Scorpion was there.
Yes. So train fight ensues. He gets off the train, and that's where we run into trouble because this is where he coincides with what Knife has done.
So what has Knife done? Who is Knife?
Knife is sort of the opposite of Cochin. He tries to gamble. He sucks at it. He's not very successful in life. He's got a great woman who's with him, but for some reason she sticks around. God knows why. And he's just not successful in much. He keeps trying. He's a hustler.
Correct.
He's a hustler.
Yeah.
So he's walking along a path, and someone says, "You can't be on this path." With dogs.
Some guy says, "Please get out off my property."
Right. It's basically the same thing as if when you're going down to California and you try and go on a beach and some rich dudes in Malibu say you can't go down that path.
Because it's our beach.
Right. But that's illegal, but they just do it anyway.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's what's going on. So Knife, in order to strike revenge against this guy, doctors a railing.
He sabotages a railing that someone would lean on to look out over the ocean.
And they'd fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chow Yun-Fa's fat character heads over, ends up on the path, wraps up against the railing, and falls all the way down.
So the trap that Knife had set for this obnoxious landlord ends up being deployed on Cochin. Cochin falls, tumbles down the hill, cracks his head on a rock.
Several times.
And basically is in quite a state.
At which point Knife freaks out.
Yeah, well, they want to call a doctor, but then they're like, but we set up the trap. We can't call a doctor. We'll go to jail.
Right.
So they bring Cochin to the girlfriend's grandmother or something.
Right, who's sort of like a, holistic healer.
Sure.
She's a healer of the community. She's not an official doctor, but she's a nanny and she'll fix everything.
Yeah, and at that point, they're like, I hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't die. He doesn't die, but it turns out he has amnesia and basically wakes up with the mentality of a child.
Yes. At which point we kind of go into a Rain Man kind of movie.
Yes.
For a while.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It is. I mean, Rain Man was released the year before. They're obviously doing a Rain Man knockoff for a while on this one.
You really suggested that, and I can't disagree with you because it would make sense. It just would depend on how long the production of this movie was.
They're not long. Hong Kong films do not take very long to film.
Okay, fair enough. Then yeah. Either way, Cochin, who they don't know the name of and they just call Chocolate because he's willing to do anything for his favorite kind of chocolate.
Yes.
Basically, he still has his preternatural gambling skills because it's innate within him. And, like, he's still getting flashes of memories back.
Right.
And they realize that this guy has these incredible gambling skills, and so they use Chocolate to go on this incredible winning spree and actually, for the first time in their lives, be successful and have money.
Yes.
For as long as they can.
Yes.
Until they cross the wrong guy, who basically takes Knife hostage.
Yes.
Because Chocolate refused to win a bet.
Because he didn't have the right kind of chocolate.
Because he didn't have the right kind of chocolate.
He got a little pissy about that.
Yeah. But Knife slowly realizes that he really does care about this guy, and they should probably go and actually make sure he gets now that they have the money, can try to get the medical help he needs. They bring him to a doctor, and they're going to try to get his brain fixed. And in doing so, people start to find out, oh, this guy's Cochin. And
right.
News starts to trickle out.
Yes.
Meanwhile,
you've got his friend, Cochin's friend Scorpion.
Well, sure. Cochin's friend Scorpion is looking for him.
But
also, Cochin's cousin...
Yes.
Who was kind of just like a hanger-on following, like the part
best
of his
friend kind of thing.
His posse.
Yeah.
Has basically lost his mind.
Yes. This is quite possibly the most disturbing sequence of the film.
Not quite possibly. Is. I thought you were going to say quite possibly one of the most disturbing sequences of film that you've ever seen.
Yes. It's nasty.
It's gross and bad. I wasn't going to bring it up, but okay.
It's gross and bad. Basically, he causes Cochin's girlfriend to die and then decides he'll have sex with her anyway.
Yep. He says the line, if you think being dead won't stop me from loving you, you're mistaken.
And that is not the quote we are using in the film.
It's not. And then it cuts away, and good.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy loses his mind. He's like, no, Cochin's not here. It's time. I can finally be the big guy. But he's clearly, like, not and drunk. And so, like, he's making deals, and he's making deals with Chan, the big bad mob boss, to track down Cochin and kill him once and for all. And basically, he's an awful, awful human being.
Yes.
And So they track down Cochin, and there's this big gun battle with Scorpion and Cochin and
Knife and all sorts of people, and it's great.
It is a very good Hong Kong gun action sequence.
Yes, it's fantastic. Complete with really bad sound effects. It's fantastic.
007 Golden Eye N64 level gun sound effects.
It's great. Anyway, everyone gets shot in arms and shoulders except for the bad guys, and Cochin ends up
who get shot in the ways that kill them.
Right. Cochin gets to the hospital where they ask him who he is. He pretends not to. He doesn't recognize Knife, but he does remember who he is.
Yeah.
So he's the god of gamblers again.
He remembers who he is. He says the last thing he remembers is falling after the train.
Yes.
So basically his time as chocolate is now gone.
Gone completely.
So with this cousin who's lost his mind and made a deal with the big bad, goes to go do this big final gambling showdown.
Yes. They go and play some form of poker. We can't figure out what they're playing.
It was an interesting form of poker in that they have... It's not Texas Hold'em. They each get 5 cards, but 3 of those cards are public and 2 of those cards are secret.
Yes.
So it's a precursor to poker. If anyone knows what version of poker that is, please reach out. I'm genuinely curious.
I'm just good at blackjack. I got no idea about poker.
And Knife, meanwhile, is like, no, this guy, he's being taken advantage of. I saw this guy with a gun almost kill you. And so Knife is doing everything he can to try to track down Cochin and like try to save him from this terrible situation.
Meanwhile, he's just getting rebuffed by Cochin. Knife's just like, I don't know who you are. Go away. You're a pain in the butt. Go away. So then the plan of attack is to mark the cards.
Yes, that's the plan of attack for the bad guys.
For the bad guys. They're going to mark the cards. They're going to wear special glasses, and they're going to see what the aces, kings, queens, jacks are.
Sure.
They'll be able to plan their bets incredibly.
And so that's basically it. Like, that's the whole thing. And then it doesn't work because Cochin was on to them. And
has better glasses.
They were like, oh, you paid $10,000 for those glasses? I paid $100,000 for these contact lenses.
And aren't I cooler?
And manipulates it so that Chan wasn't in international water. He did a bad thing. He takes down the cousin. He wins the gambling match. And then he goes to... And then he says, Knife, I don't know who you are. Go home. So Knife goes home. He's all sad. And then who's there? But Chocolate is there to say hi.
Yep. And to say, let's go to Vegas.
Let's go to Las Vegas, which was misspelled in the
You
subtitles.
can't make fun of the subtitles, because the subtitles are way back when, and they misspelled all the subtitles at that point.
Fair enough.
They misspelled them in Mandarin, they misspelled them in Cantonese, and they misspelled them in English.
Fair enough. So he says, you know what, Knife? I've got a plan. We're going to Vegas. End of movie.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, super fun.
Great. There's only a couple things that I would immediately take out of the movie in a remake.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot that you can play with to sort of keep it going.
Absolutely.
In a modern bent.
Yeah.
But, there are a couple plot points that just need to go bye-bye.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really good movie that sort of lends itself to a remake. Because It's fun, it's energetic, and it's kind of universal. Everyone gambles.
Sure. And at least we're familiar with gambling stories and just like the whole nature of that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our version of this movie.
Okay.
I suggested earlier that if we're doing an American remake, it's probably not going to necessarily be set in Hong Kong.
No, but I still think that we keep it with an Asian cast.
An entirely Asian cast?
Absolutely.
I did not do that.
I did.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'll give you my reasons later, or now if you want. But
go for it.
I think that there's no reason to add anyone other than Asians to this cast. I think that it is such an iconic movie that making it with an all Asian cast now is actually more of a statement than mixing it up.
Okay, so we talked about this earlier, and you'd sent me a text about that, and I thought you were saying the opposite of that. So I intentionally didn't do that.
Okay.
I'd have to reread the text. But yeah, I did a mix. But so we'll talk about casting later. Right now the casting's not really relevant to like the plot. So it sounds like you still want to set it in Macau.
I still want to set it either in Macau, or I loved your idea of setting it in Monaco.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
I think either one of those are gambling meccas at this point, and let's do it.
I don't want to set it in Las Vegas.
No.
Part of the reason why I wanted to set it in Monaco is because when this movie was made, Hong Kong was a very different place.
Yes.
It was still under British rule. It was still a quote-unquote democracy. And at the moment, that's not really how Hong Kong looks. Like, no. I imagine there's still a lot of protests and a lot of police brutality. And Hong Kong is... It's not good, gang.
No, they're like arresting newspaper editors. They're shutting down newspapers. They're doing all sorts of stuff.
And that's why I wouldn't... Despite the fact that this is a very Hong Kong movie, I would not want to set it in China.
No. And I actually agree with you on that. But I think putting it either Monaco or Macau works out great. I like Monaco, really.
Isn't Macau China?
It is. But it's sort of like this little offshoot
but it's
China.
Still China.
Okay, so let's do Monaco.
Yeah.
Let's do Monaco. Also, because we can set it during the Grand Prix and have F1 racing, too.
Well, it sounds like we got to have F1 racing if that's going to be a part of our movie.
It is for sure. It is now going to be part of the movie. It is now going
to be a part of the movie.
Yes.
So, okay. Let's talk about the plot of the movie. I think the concept of someone who is just the best gambler and doesn't like having their picture taken, I think that's an amazing place to start. Because if I was an amazing gambler, I also wouldn't want everyone to know that I was the best gambler in the world.
No, exactly. I'd agree with you completely on that. So I think that's a great plot point.
Right. So we have this incredible gambler, whomever they happen to be, and they are basically being, like, they're a gambler for good, but also for fun.
I think they're a gambler for both skill and for fun. Yeah. I think they gamble because they're skilled at it, and they know it's something they actually take great pleasure in.
I think that's the way it exists in the movie now. I think there can be an extra step for us of they're true neutral, but what they hate are people who cheat.
Yeah.
Because that's not gambling. That's different. That's cheating.
That's cheating.
And so I think you could treat it like a Houdini treated going after the fake, like the charlatan prophecy people. Like it's the best gambler in the world going after all the people who cheat at gambling.
Okay.
And that's why the gangs and the clubs and everything are always out to get him. Because like, oh my god, he's the god of gamblers. The only way to beat him is with cheating. But we can't cheat against him because
he knows it.
He knows.
And he'll call the bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and especially because like, if you are the best in the world at something and there is no one left to challenge you, you give yourself this extra challenge.
Right. You do other things in order to make things more fun.
Exactly. You are the best.
And you add the odds, you stack the odds against yourself to beat yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it.
So I still think we can start at the beginning with two different gambling challenges in the same way the movie starts as it is. One, which is pure essence of gambling. It's going against it. He's still the best, and we can see how he's the best with breaking the dice. And then we get to see him go and beat people who are cheating at gambling, and we get to kind of see like the two different sides.
Right.
What kind of games should he be playing?
See, and this is what I'm thinking of. I think if we're doing Monaco, there's a couple games that are big in Monaco.
Please tell me.
One of which is how do you pronounce it? Baccarat.
Sure.
That's the crazy game where they play in James Bond movies except for Casino Royale.
Okay.
Where they're like putting out two cards and you're kind of betting on whether or not the card is high or low.
Okay.
And basically minimum bets usually around somewhere between $500 to $1,000.
Damn.
And it's literally just meant for you to lose money and gain money. It was invented, I think, for Louis XIV in France because he didn't know how to gamble, and this was a game to make how to gamble for stupid people.
And I guess it's become very popular amongst...
I shouldn't say that. That's a really bad thing for me to say. But
it's not a game of skill, necessarily.
It's not a game of skill.
It's not a game of high skill.
It's not a game of skill. You're guessing high-low on the cards.
Yeah, you take something like roulette, which could theoretically be the other game of like pure luck.
Right.
And it's much simpler than that because roulette, you have all these different ways that you can do odds, evens, red, black, green, this one particular number, and it's
purple.
Like different odds around all the different things. Well, not purple.
I know,
but yeah. And like going all those different ways, and this is just, is it high or low? Cool.
I think actually a fun one would be blackjack.
Okay.
Just because in blackjack, the fun thing about that is it's the table against the dealer.
Sure.
So if you've got the god of gamblers at your table, then the table destroys the dealer. He helps everyone at the table win.
I think
You're playing with, like, that might be one of the ones within the movie?
Yeah, I think that's good for the second one.
Okay.
Because that's when, like, you can take down a dealer who's cheating.
Right. Or just take down the casino, because we want to go against the odds of the casino.
Right. I mean, the way the narrative of the movie works is that if we're taking down cheaters, then blackjack works, because we can that they're the cheaters who are taking out everybody.
Right.
I don't think that works for the first match where it's pure gambling, because it's not a 1v1.
No, I think the 1v1 one...
That can be Baccarat and one other game.
Yeah, that can be Baccarat. And honestly, on that one, it's just a matter of him always choosing the right decision.
And just really being able to read it to the point where, like, a queen comes up and he goes higher, and they're like, that's impossible. There's just king. He's like, it's going to be higher, though.
Yeah.
King.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And the pile of chips gets higher and higher.
Yeah. Or, like, you can even get to the point where it's like, it is, like, a king. Is ace high or is ace low?
I have no idea back then.
Whatever. Let's say ace is low. Let's say king is the highest. And he's like, okay, it's going to be higher than that. It's like, that's not possible. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's going to be higher.
It's a higher suit king or something.
Or, like, even more so than, like, it's literally not possible. And somehow he noticed the back of the card was printed differently because it was a printer error, and it's like a 14. And it's like, oh my god, how did he know?
Yeah.
Like one of those.
Yeah, however it happens, he manages to completely destroy the table.
Yeah, it's, or, like, if you're not printing it as kings, it's literally, like, the number of symbols on the card.
Yeah.
Where it's, like, instead of it actually being a printed picture of the king, it's the 13 hearts, 13 spades, whatever.
Yeah, I totally don't think we have to worry about this. I just think we have to say, like, Baccarat, and he wins. He completely destroys the table by guessing high or low completely every time.
Yeah.
And
I think
even when you don't think he's right, he's right.
Yeah. And I think it's fun if we start with a card game and then also do a dice game.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
Honestly, the thing where he broke the dice was very silly, and I'm more than happy to do that again.
I think we should do that again.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think it could be a little bit more clever of, like, I could shake it in this, and he takes, like, a drink coaster or something else available, or, like, someone's making a martini and he takes the martini shaker, dumps out the martini, and is like, this is actually what I wanted, and shakes it in that.
Now, see, I was thinking, even if he uses an open-ended one, he kind of throws all the dice in the air, catches them upside down, slams them down.
Well, how does he break the dice then?
Because when he throws them up upside down, he breaks the dice when he slams them up.
Oh, I thought he was shaking it he needed the heavier thing because that's what allowed him to, like, really force it to break the dice.
Oh, yeah, but it's, like, just cool.
The important thing is we need flourishes.
So I think the ice would go flying in the air, then he catches them, and then all sorts of things.
So then we have Knife. Who is Knife and Coley, and who are Knife and Coley and Jane? And I'm just going to give you a heads up, I combined Jane and Coley.
That's fine.
Who are they in the world of our movie?
I think they are, if we're setting this in Monaco, okay, if we're setting this in Monaco, right now they are the sons and daughters and the people who clean the hotels, and they are not the ones who get to live off the boats and in the expensive hotels or apartments. They're not the Formula One racers. They're not the rich people. They're not anything. They're the down on the luck people. Not down on the luck people, but they're the people who serve the others.
And they don't want to serve, and their options are either be wait staff or crime.
Yes.
And they choose crime.
Yay!
If we're going to throw something in, I bet all of everything they're doing is because Knife is like, I don't really care about gambling, but it's a means to an end, and that's what's going to get me my car.
Yeah.
My Formula One racing car.
No.
No, I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
No. The Formula One racing cars are for the skilled drivers. What Knife would want, obviously, would be like an Alfa Romeo or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini.
I'm trying to keep that Formula One race intrinsic to the plot of the movie.
The Formula One race is going to be like at the climax of the movie.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Yeah. And they're gambling.
They're gambling on who wins the race.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, that's very clever. That's better. We'll do that.
Okay.
Because then it's like you get to watch and you get to figure out what's going on. And it's a way to manipulate the cheating because they could be sabotaging the cars.
Uh-huh.
And Cochin is figuring out ways to unsabotage the cars.
Yes.
Okay.
And Monaco is the race that really makes it interesting because the person who gets pole position is generally the one who wins.
Okay.
Because it's really hard to pass in Monaco because it's a street circuit.
Yeah, because we've all seen in Iron Man 2. It's they're very thin streets.
They literally did that just so they could go to Monaco. Love it.
Who wouldn't?
I know.
I've been to Monaco.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was 16.
There you go.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we have our beginning and we kind of have our climax as well. With that in mind, what's Team Knife doing that fails, and what do they sabotage?
I think Team Knife is honestly same sort of thing set up as in the original God of Gamblers, is they're just trying to get to the beach. And they're told they can't.
Well, that's not really, that happens later.
Okay.
We meet him messing up a bet, like losing 2 or 3 bets in a row.
Right.
We can certainly do that.
They're getting kicked out of a casino.
Yeah.
They're getting kicked out of the casino because they tried to cheat, they got caught, they fucked up, and they're out.
I don't even think it needs to be they try to cheat.
They're just bad.
They keep trying to win on credit, and they keep losing and going into debt, and they don't have the credit that they're being promised, and now they're being thrown out.
Okay. I like that.
And then they can go to the only place that's free in Monaco, the beach.
Which isn't free.
But it turns out
they can't.
That's also not free.
Yes.
There was a joke in The God of Gamblers where, oh man, I wish I'd gone to the bathroom on the train. Or no, this is not a God of Gamblers. This is an episode of Jetlag I just watched where he said, I wish I'd gone to the bathroom on the train because the bathrooms in the train station cost money.
Ah.
They're playing hide and seek across Switzerland. It's very fun.
Okay.
Or they were at time of recording. I'm sure that season's over by now, and if not, my goodness. But it can be literally one of those things where they get to the beach and then they get kicked off because they're not part of the country club or exclusive resort that owns the beach.
Right. They don't look right to go on the beach, so they need to go away.
Yeah, so what's the trap that they lay?
I think it's similar to what they did on God of Gamblers. But
that happened in God of Gamblers. We can do something else.
Okay. What do you suggest?
Well, it's a beach, and we're not necessarily talking about an overlook.
No.
So I feel like the thing to do on a beach that people would fall for is a sandpit trap.
Okay.
And I think they go back in the middle of the night when no one wants to go to the beach, and they dig a big hole, they lay down a tarp, and then they cover the tarp with sand, because they're like, oh, the person who kicked us off the beach is always the first one to come out and make sure the sand's okay.
Okay.
Make sure there are no jellyfish from the tides. And they always take this path, and they are going to fall in here, and they're not going to be able to get out, and then we'll be able to use this beach as much as we like during the day.
Okay.
Because they won't be able to get out.
Right, and the hole will fill in, and no one will notice, and it'll be great.
The thing we potentially lose is, how does Kochin hit his head? And so it turns out they dig down so deep that they hit the bedrock underneath, and Kochin somehow, when he gets off the train, goes in head first and just clong. Instead of going feet first into the hole, goes head first, and that's how he loses his memory.
Well, it's a beach. You trip over rocks all the time on the beach.
Yeah.
So he trips over a rock, he falls in the hole.
Trips over rock, decides he doesn't want to, like a turtle comes out of the water, he doesn't want to step on it, or a crab nips him in the toe, and he loses his balance and falls backwards and falls into the sandpit trap.
Clunk.
And that's how we get chocolate.
That's how we get chocolate. However, and this is where we come to the most problematic part, a fairly problematic part of God of Gamblers that we need to adjust a little bit.
Please tell me.
For me, when I said it was like Rain Man for this part of the movie, I think I'm right. I read a couple reviews and books and things, and they're like, this is where they did Rain Man.
I believe you.
Rain Man itself is an unbelievably problematic movie.
It is a modern-day problematic movie.
Yes. And I think the original God of Gamblers suffers from the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's...
Of what?
It suffers from the same thing in that you have a able-bodied person trying to portray someone of limited intelligence.
You have an able-bodied person portraying someone with a handicap.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I think the way you do it, and I think what you're building towards, is he's lost his memory, but he's still a functioning human.
Yes.
And not to say that someone with limited mental capacity isn't, which I don't even know how to properly say that, is not a functioning human being, but he has memory loss, but not functionality loss.
Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And That's exactly what I thought of when I was doing this. He has to have memory loss, but he doesn't have functionality loss.
Okay, I agree with that. I think he can be stupid, but not mentally challenged.
And see, I don't even think we use the word stupid.
He can really not know how things are.
He can know how things
overly
work.
Trusting.
Yeah.
He can really only be interested in instant gratification because he doesn't know anyone, he doesn't know anything. But, like, he can dress himself, he can bathe himself, he can carry out conversation. He just doesn't know who he is.
He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't necessarily know he doesn't necessarily know social norms.
Yeah.
But he does function, which
Yes.
I think that is a little bit better than what Chocolate is in the movie.
I think that's fair and true, to the point where we probably won't call him Chocolate.
No.
I think we'll give him a different name. I mean, hell, they just might call him Sandy.
Yeah, that actually works too. Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with him agreeing to, like, when they realize he's good at gambling, paying him in chocolate because he has no concept of money.
Right.
But yes, I think he should be able to carry on conversations and be to not steal a phrase from Tropic Thunder, to not go full R word.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit further than I would take it.
Yeah, well, it's literally the expression they use in Tropic Thunder.
No, I know.
But that is what happens.
That is what happens.
Because they talk about Rain Man for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
So then the middle of the movie is largely, like, Act 2 is going to be largely the same.
It's shenanigans while gambling.
Yeah, they realize that Sky has preternatural skills, so they keep putting him in situations where they're going to win big. I just think we have the opportunity, because this movie it's an action comedy.
Yeah.
I think we have the opportunity here to have gambling on the most ridiculous of things.
Yes.
I think you can be gambling on hot dog eating competitions. I think you can be gambling on which hermit crab wins the race. I think you can be gambling on literally all kinds of games. And every single time, he's the big winner.
Right, but I think what you do is you start with, like, the ridiculous, and then you go to the less ridiculous types of gambling.
No, I think the opposite is true.
No, I think you start with the ridiculous, because you start with, like, the small time bets. Like, oh, that guy's going to do something, or we're going to bet on whatever, I don't even know, dog racing. We're going to bet on the dog races, or we're going to bet on the rabbit races, or we're going to bet on the crab races. We're going to bet on those.
Okay.
And then as they get better, as they win more money, then they're led into more and more exclusive gambling things.
Okay. I think that's true, and you are probably right. I would propose a parabola.
Uh-huh.
They need to get into the low-stakes games, because that's the only people that'll have them.
Yes.
What happens in the movie originally is that they're basically using Cochin, because he looks respectable, to be like, oh yeah, you can trust him, you'll lose all his money, and then we can take it from him, and it'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
But then it turns out he's just that good.
Yeah.
And like, you start with kind of like the low stakes, like really common things, and then you get to the really, really big games. But then I think they get greedy, and then they start gambling on everything. And it starts at the low stakes, like, trying to seem impressive, and as they build themselves up to the truly impressive, and then they win those, but then they get too addicted to it, and they're gambling on everything.
Right, but they can't get too addicted, because that brings too much attention to them initially.
Yeah, well, that's what happens at the end of Act 2, which leads us into Act 3.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
And they get a little bit too ridiculous, and, like, let's say they're gambling on the ring toss at the county fair, that Monaco definitely has, for sure.
It's nights.
Yeah. And it gets to a point where they push it too far. Sandy gets a little bit upset, and they're like, okay, we have been taking advantage of you, and you really have been really good to us. We do care about you. As a treat, we'll take you to a doctor. And in doing so, like, fingerprints get scanned, all these different things, and basically it alerts all the systems. There he is. There's the guy.
Right, but I think you also still have to have the sequence, which was great, of them leaving Sandy.
Yes. Because
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, so because I think they've been going so ridiculous and, like, gambling on everything, all of a sudden he's like, we're winning everything. There's no reason for me not to put all our money on this stupid bet. And then
that I know we're going to lose.
But no, he doesn't know that we're going to lose. Sandy doesn't do it because they can't get him his right kind of chocolate.
Right.
And so he loses on purpose.
Yes.
Because he's like, well, I'm not having fun anymore.
Right.
And so Knife abandons him on the side of the road, makes it all the way, like, 20, 30 minutes away, and he's like, okay, I can't do that. Comes back to, yes, you have this whole sequence of Cochin being abandoned, Cochin/chocolate being abandoned.
Okay, I think rather than having the weird fake out with the group around the poor homeless person.
Yeah, that was weird.
Again, another weird, again, one of the 2 or 3 very strange things that happened in this movie.
Yep, that's number 2.
I think they're doing a dice game, and Sandy's playing dice and having fun with it, like with kids or something.
I don't think it needs to be gambling. I think it can be something that, I mean, it could genuinely just be he's on the slide.
Okay.
He can be running around a playground. He can be doing the monkey bars.
No. Sandy's on a boat.
He's on a boat?
He's on a boat.
What kind of boat?
A very big, rich boat.
How would he get on the very rich boat?
Who the hell knows? Who cares? He's on the very big, rich boat going down the slide into the water.
Why?
Because they're having fun.
I think we're getting away from the childlike wonder. Because when Knife finds chocolate in the movie, he's eating chocolate and has a bunch of balloons and Disney little toys.
I know.
I don't think he needs to be on a big, fancy, rich boat. I think it...
Okay, but we can have the big, fancy, rich boat at the end.
We don't need that.
I know, but they're cute.
I know, but as someone as left as I am, I cannot support yachts.
Okay, fine.
Unless we're taking the yachts down.
No!
We're trying to establish that he's, at the end of the day, he's a human being who just wants to, do something silly and fun.
Okay.
He just wants to, he's
just a carnival or something.
Playing a game.
There's a carnival or something. Yeah. We're having fun. Okay, that's fine.
Something like that. He just is a genuine human being who, is kind of being forced to work despite really not understanding what's happening. And he just needs to be able to, he's playing a game for the fun of the game, not because there's stakes involved.
Agreed. I
don't care what the game is, but something like that.
Yeah.
He's there playing Yu-Gi-Oh! He's doing Beyblades.
He's not playing
Whatever.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I don't know what's popular in Monaco these days.
Definitely not Yu-Gi-Oh!
Fine, he's playing skee-ball.
Much better.
Okay. He's playing skee-ball and winning tickets.
There we go. Much better.
And something like that.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, okay, I've been treating you as a tool. I haven't been treating you as a person. And if I was treating you like a person, I'd take you to go see the doctor.
So that's what they do.
And that's what triggers the whole system. The guy gets discovered. And then basically this entire mechanism of all these rich people knowing that this is the greatest gambler who's ever lived descend on him.
Right. And then we have a really cool gunfight.
And then we have several really cool gunfights.
Yes. And I think in this, we can have a gunfight through, Monaco has these, streets or, sort of like Rodeo Drive on crack.
Sure.
So we can have a gunfight through that. I mean, not sort of a shopping mall parking lot. Let's destroy the shopping mall.
Or you can do the gunfight where they're having a gunfight, but every few minutes or seconds, the gunfight has to pause while they all get out of the road as the cars go past.
Oh, something like that. That might be a bit too much.
Okay. Oh, but destroying an entire shopping mall is not too much.
Goodness, no.
Oh, well.
Goodness, no.
Of course.
Yeah, but you gotta have some seriously fun gunplay on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if it's gonna be Monaco, we're gonna have to destroy some fancy things. Or things that we have mocked up to look like fancy things.
Yes.
Okay. Great.
Seriously fun gunfight, lots of guns, people just showing up, completely always showing up with guns, until finally half the people are dead, half the people are shot with little arms and leg wounds, and then our hero gets taken to the hospital.
Yeah, where he's fallen, hits his head, and wakes up again with his memory intact.
Dun, da, da.
And goes to the final gambling, which is gambling on the Formula One Monaco Grand Prix.
Yes.
And that is, in fact, the big final thing, and everyone's kind of subtly trying to manipulate the race instead of seeing what's going on. Big grand finale, end of movie.
Yes. And they end up going to Vegas.
Well,
for another Formula One race.
Sure. And then the end of the movie is them suggesting that there is going to be a God of Gamblers 2, Deus Ex Duo.
Something like that.
Yeah. God is in the 2.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
It's a much more lighthearted movie than I usually pick.
Yeah. I do think that's also true. Although, you do like picking the movies with lots of guns.
Lots of guns.
The one thing that we're missing is the betrayal from Cochin's cousin. I think Janet and the cousin, should still be in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Janet should die, and I don't think she should be death raped.
Let's just not go there. But I do think we need the cousin betrayal.
Yes, I think we need the cousin betrayal. What I think needs to be happening is I think Janet needs to be looking for her boyfriend or husband, whatever, nonstop. And the cousin has been saying that he's looking for him.
But not.
But has in fact been any evidence that might point to him being alive, he's been destroying.
Yes.
He doesn't want this guy found.
No.
Because with his cousin gone, now he gets to be the head of the empire. He believes he gets to be the god of gamblers. Right. I'm the god of gamblers now. Right. And I think that's the actual betrayal.
Yes.
Not whatever crazy misogyny fridging that we had. We're not doing that.
No, we're not doing that at all.
And, like, I think the cousin can get taken down with Chan, and I think that makes more sense. Like, Janet's trying to find him. She's doing everything she can. She trusts the cousin because she assumes he's trying to find Ko-chan too, and that just isn't the case.
Yeah.
That's what I think the movie is.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Time for casting?
Sure.
We're going to get into this. I can tell you right now, we're probably not going to end up with a fully cast of Asian descent.
Sure.
Especially because we're going to end up with a mix, but we will end up with certainly quite a few. Since
Good.
I also had quite a few.
Excellent.
Let's start, obviously, with our Ko-chan / Sandy.
Yes.
Who did you have for this character?
Well, I sort of did a sort of Ocean's 8 thing on this, where I went a lot of female characters.
Oh, so you started with Sandy being... You gender swapped it.
I gender swapped.
Okay.
Because I figured there was a lot of male presence in this one.
That's true. That's why I gender swapped Knife.
Oh, I gender swapped pretty much everyone.
Okay.
So...
I swapped Knife, Scorpion...
I swapped Knife, and yeah. I don't think I cast Scorpion, but that's okay.
Okay. Who'd you have for Ko-chan?
Gemma Chan.
Okay. Where would people know her from?
The After Party, Crazy Witch Asians, the Creator, Humans. She's been on both TV and movies.
Yeah,
she's got a great presence.
What made you pick her?
I liked her look.
Okay.
I liked her presence. I saw The Creator and thought she was really amazing in that.
Okay.
I liked her in The After Party. She's got a good sense of humor.
Yep.
And I think she can carry something.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I also really leaned on the fact that we need someone who is a looker who's good at comedy. And we need someone who... I mean, if we're going to be in casinos, someone's got to be able to, like, move, maybe able to dance a little.
Uh-huh.
And... I mean, I also picked someone with a Marvel background, an MCU background.
Uh-huh.
So I went with Simu Liu.
See, and I had him and took him out. Not for Ko-chan. I had him on a different character.
Fair enough. I think that for this kind of character, you need someone who can go back and forth from the suave and debonair to the a little bit more vulnerable.
Yes. I like having a woman in the title role.
I like having a woman in the title role too, and I genuinely considered gender swapping the title role as well. The reason I didn't is because of the memory loss and the unfortunately vulnerable position that you're putting the woman in, and I think that's potentially bad optics.
Now see, I also have Knife as a woman.
I do too.
So I think having two women in that actually works.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think we should come back to
Let's come back to that. I think there's a place for Simu Liu in a different place.
Okay, so then let's talk about Knife.
Yeah.
I wanted someone who's good at action, good at kind of being a skis, but also charming in her own way.
Yes.
And I thought that someone who could kind of lean into the nature of that, of the master manipulator, but also good at fighting, and would be good at that, is Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
I have no idea who that is.
She is... You've seen her in Birds of Prey, but you've also seen her in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, where she's Ramona Flowers.
Okay.
And she was in 10 Cloverfield Lane, and a bunch of other action things. Like, I can pull up other credits and stuff that
when
she's
she
done.
said where she was, Ramona Flowers,
Yeah.
I knew where we were.
I can't remember the name of her character that she plays in Birds of Prey. She's the one who's been trained to be an assassin from an early age, but, like, has no people skills.
Yeah.
It's great. She's so good.
I went a little bit of a different way, because
Right.
I stayed with mostly an Asian cast.
Yeah.
I said Awkwafina.
I knew you would.
Absolutely.
I also considered Awkwafina, but I specifically didn't do an all Asian, people of Asian descent for the cast.
I'm curious as to why.
Because it's an American remake, and for movies like this, especially if you're setting them in Monaco or you're setting them in Vegas, if you're not setting them specifically in China, I wanted more diversity, and this was one of those rare instances where it's a bunch of people in Europe working at a casino.
Okay.
It's one of the rare instances where I can be like, yeah, I can use white people in this one.
Yeah.
And I think Awkwafina is... If you were going with people of Asian descent for this cast, you can use that for everybody. However, there's a big difference for a movie like this in casting someone of Chinese descent and casting someone of Japanese descent and of Korean descent. And like, if we were going with this is a movie that's out of Hong Kong, then you would want to you would want to cast all Chinese actors, all Hong Kong actors, and I'm guessing that's not what happened.
No.
And at that point, then that is also problematic.
No, I get it. No, okay. I'll go with that. Yeah, I'll go with that.
So I think Awkwafina is good casting. In this case, a child of someone who's working at a Monaco
casino.
No, I know. Monaco is the country. What's the name of the city?
Monte Carlo.
Thank you. Working at a Monte Carlo casino. I might push us towards Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Okay. Let me think.
We'll come back to that. We can come back to that too. We can kind of go through everything. We'll go through everything.
Yeah.
I also combined Jane and Ko Lee. We haven't talked about him at all, but Knife had kind of like a little buddy to be like, to go send out and do all the grunt work. He's not really relevant to the plot. I think it makes a lot more sense to, like, you can still have that character and you can decide whether or not that can be a love interest. In my head, Knife's actual love interest is Scorpion, but that's separate.
That's very separate. What about if we cast Simu Liu as Ko Chen?
Okay.
And then we use Gemma Chan as Knife.
Oh, that's really good. We should do that.
I like that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Done.
Yay.
So then we get to Jane/Ko Lee, which I combined. I'm presuming you have two separate people.
No, I actually didn't cast that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Then let me tell you about who we have for that.
Okay.
I wanted someone who is good at being pushed around, but also has moments of capability. Mm-hmm. Because basically, in the movie as it exists, Jane and Ko Lee kind of like alternate being relevant.
Yeah.
So why not just replace that with one person?
Sure.
And for that, I went with an actor named Rami Youssef.
Oh, yeah.
Who you and I recently watched in Poor Things.
Yeah.
He also has the show Rami,
awesome.
And he's Mr. Robot.
Awesome.
He's perfect for that kind of role.
Yeah, awesome.
And then that brings us to Scorpion.
See, and I actually thought, I went to Joyride for this, and I thought the woman who played Deadeye, Sabrina Wu, would be amazing in that.
I don't remember.
She sort of had the bald head.
Oh, her. Yeah. Sabrina Wu would be good for that. You know who I have for that?
Who?
Katie O'Brien. The muscle lady from Love Lies Bleeding.
Ooh.
She's also a big, intense player in Mandalorian, and she's in Z Nation. And she plays intense really well.
You realize I saw Love Lies Bleeding just the past week, and I was the only woman in the auditorium?
Wow. I'm a little surprised.
I'm not.
What was the demographic of the...
Guys.
Sure.
Guys.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you think it was all straight dudes or all gay dudes?
It looked to be mostly a couple of gay dudes and then mostly straight dudes.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
What was the reception?
I thought it was great.
Did the rest of the audience?
They took a while getting up from their seats.
All right. But anyway,
that aside.
Katie O'Brien I thought would be really good. She plays intense very well. And I think she can be an enforcer who you get at the end of the movie, you get to smile for the first time.
Okay.
I think that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
That brings me to The Cousin.
The Cousin. Yes, The Cousin.
So I'm realizing that my iteration of The Cousin isn't going to work. I was going for vibes, and I didn't really think about the fact that this person needs to be a cousin. I was going for more emotional cousin than, like, real cousin. And someone who can play a real piece of shit is Dave Franco.
Yeah.
He's the right vibe, but I think he's the wrong casting.
I think so.
So I don't know if Dave Franco's going to work. Can we pull someone else that you had? Who was the person you had for Scorpion?
Scorpion? I had, no, I said I didn't cast Scorpion. I cast Dragon. I cast Michelle Yeoh as Dragon.
We were just talking about the enforcer, the person with the scorpion.
Oh no, that's Sabrina Yeoh.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Do you want to use Sabrina Yeoh for the cousin?
Yeah, let's use Sabrina Yeoh. I think she does threatening really well.
That's not really her vibe in Joyride.
No, but I enjoyed it.
I don't think that works for Scorpion. I do think that works for the cousin.
Yeah,
because the cousin can come off as a dipshit, and then we find out she's been manipulating everything and trying to make everything go her way.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I think we can do.
Yeah, I think so.
I realized I skipped Janet, the girlfriend.
Yeah, I was stuck on the girlfriend, so I actually didn't cast the girlfriend.
Okay. I went with an actress from Dear White People, If Beale Street Could Talk, The Marvels. I went with Teyonah Paris.
Sounds great. Yeah, I know her.
I have Chan and a shitty low-level mob boss, and those are the only other two casting roles I have.
Okay, I have Chan. I did Chan, and I just did Chan.
Okay, who'd you have for Chan?
I had Harry Golding.
Who's Harry? Oh, Harry Golding.
From Last Christmas and Crazy Rich Asians.
How old is he?
He's like maybe late 30s, 40s?
So a young big bad.
Yeah, a young big bad.
Okay. I went older.
Okay.
I also went with someone that you and I just watched in the after party, and both of us were pretty impressed with his ability to act. So I went with Ken Jeong.
Okay, that's funny, because that's exactly who I was thinking.
Yeah. And like, yeah, like I thought that would be... Like,
Is he
like,
threatening enough?
That's exactly it. Like, you make Ken Jeong the big bad, and then you surround him with, like, big, tall, tough guys.
Okay.
Like, he's the gambler who's willing to cheat to win.
The other option, I'm just thinking on this just on the fly.
Are you about to suggest Chow and Fat?
No.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not.
Great.
Michelle Yeoh. Think of the match off between those two.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know if she's Weasley enough.
She doesn't have to be Weasley. She has to be powerful.
She has to be powerful and crooked.
Yes.
Has Michelle Yeoh ever played a bad guy?
Don't think so.
I'm curious.
But I think she's the right age.
Yeah, she
from
definitely
what we're looking
is.
at.
From 27 to 2020, Yeoh had a recurring role as evil Emperor Philippa Georgiou in the Paramount Plus series Star Trek Discovery.
Oh yeah, she did.
I mean, if she's played an evil emperor before, there's no reason not to make her an evil emperor now.
Let's make her an evil emperor. That's cool. I like that.
And then I had this shitty low-level boss that had kidnapped Knife.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I made it Eugene Cordero.
Perfect.
Someone who could just, like, really lean into the sleaziness and just, like, a big schwarmy guy.
Love it. Love it.
So that leaves us with writer and director.
Okay. I went two ways. How about you go first, because you haven't gone first in a while.
That's because I tended to go first on the roles that you didn't cast.
Yeah, that's true.
So I have a separate writer and a separate director.
Okay.
They have worked before, so I went with the creative team behind Bullet Train. So Bullet Train was written by a guy named Zach Olkowitz. He wrote Bullet Train, he wrote Fear Street Part 2, he most recently wrote The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Okay.
And it was directed by David Leitch.
Yeah.
You know, Bullet Train, John Wick.
Yeah.
If we're going to be doing a gun-fu action movie, David Leitch is pretty much the guy.
Yeah.
In the United
That's exactly
States.
what I thought too.
Oh, you were thinking David Leitch as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay,
surprised. You are surprised.
Well, yeah, you said you went two different ways, and I wasn't expecting you to agree with me.
One of them was David Leitch.
Okay.
And then the other one was a director-writer team, one person.
Sure.
And I picked Adelaide Lim, who did Joyride, and she did Raya the Last Dragon.
Ah.
She's the writer of Raya the Last Dragon. She's the writer-director of Joyride. So I was thinking maybe if she writes this, we get the humor. David Leitch, you've got the gunfights.
Adele Lim.
Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it?
It's not.
Oh, sorry, Adele Lim.
Adele Lim. Okay. Adele Lim is one of the writers, but I'm perfectly happy to have Adele Lim write this movie and then have it directed by David Leitch.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. That is our cast. Let me take you through it.
Okay, please.
God of Gamblers. We are going to have Ko-chun / Sandy, played by Simu Liu. Knife will be played by Gemma Chan. Jane / Ko Lee will be Rami Youssef. Scorpion, the tough enforcer person, will be Katie O'Brien. Janet will be Teyonah Paris. Ko-chun's cousin will be Sabrina Yu. Chan Kam Sing will be Michelle Yeoh. And the shitty low-level mob boss will be Eugene Cordero. All of this will be written by Adele Lim and then directed by David Leitch. That is God of Gamblers. Diane, are you going to go see this movie in a theater filled with just dudes?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
That's the second time that's happened to me.
What's the first time?
Fight Club.
That tracks. I wonder what the similarity there is.
There isn't one.
Well, cool. Diane, we did it. We remade God of Gamblers.
That is awesome.
Thank you so much for being a guest on this episode. Do you have any social media or anything you'd like to promote or have audience members do?
I would have audience members go to the movies and enjoy them.
Yeah.
In terms of social media, I really don't go on it very much. So.
That's probably healthy. Okay. Well, then, if you are interested in going on social media, you can follow me at Ideal Remake on Instagram, or you can find me on BlueSky, where I am at Sam Gasch, SamGasch. Or if you want to talk about these kind of movies, or tell us what you think we did wrong, or the kind of gambling games you'd like to see, or let Dianne know who your favorite Formula One driver is, you can go on the Dueling Genre Discord and talk to me there. That is our remake of God of Gamblers. So we will end this episode somehow. The way we usually end these episodes is asking for your favorite quote from the movie. But I couldn't find a list of quotes from God of Gamblers. It kept being quotes from God of Gamblers 2 and God of Gamblers 3, which was very, very weird. So Dianne, what do you want to use that will pass as your favorite quote from the movie God of Gamblers?
I think this is going to be strange since we're doing this as a podcast, but as a visual cue, I absolutely loved it when he caught the mahjong tile. Basically a giant fuck you.
Okay, I don't know how that'll work.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that either.
The only way that I could think for us to get out of here while actually using a quote would be chocolate!
All right, 1, 2, 3, chocolate?
Yeah. Chocolate!